Financial Survival Network, helping you survive and thrive in the new economy. Go to CarrieLutz.com and sign up for 30 free micro trainings on financial survival.
1490 WGCH, this is Kerry Lutz. You're listening to the Financial Survival Network. And back with us for our bi-weekly installment is Bob Chapman, the international forecaster. Hello, Bob.
Hi there. Nice to be back under very difficult circumstances.
Yeah, so I'm looking at gold. It's down $55 today. There's blood in the streets. We're still up 13% for the year, so I'm not really overly concerned. But I'm definitely, people are a little bit nervous out there, I think because of other things, because of Europe's imminent collapse, because of so many other things that are just too numerous to recount in our limited time, you know?
That's true. And we also have the possibility of warfare. We have China and Iran and Russia and Syria on a full war footing, and they're talking about shutting down the Straits of Hormuz, and the U.S. continues. They got to be dumber than dumb. They send one of these drones over Iran, right, and they shoot it down. Uh-huh. And then they want it back. I never heard of anything so stupid in my life. And so then they send another one over and they shoot that one down too.
Yeah.
I mean, what do they think? The Iranians are dumb?
Yeah, I know. It's absurd. And you think there's something going on, I think, in Washington between the military and the president that has to do with that. But one day maybe we'll figure it out. But in the meantime, what about Europe? What are we looking at there? Is there any way out for them? Are they just going to start printing the presses? Or is it just going to be a deflationary collapse? I mean, that's kind of the options there, isn't it?
Yes. And to use a British phrase, it's like a dog's breakfast. And what is going on is this. Nobody wants to take responsibility for anything. Nobody wants to make a decision on the continent. They're all socialists or communists. And they're not going to do that unless everybody sings in unison. And they get fixed nations that their parliaments have to approve an agreement, not a treaty, not an abrogation of treaty, but a agreement. And they may not do that. And the Dutch have already said, look, we can't do that. It violates our Constitution. And the British, of course, have said, because you want to put a tax on the City of London, we can't go along with that, so we're going to vote against it. They have to have 100%. Mm-hmm. What are they going to do? Every time somebody disagrees with them, they're going to throw them out? I don't think so. So in Europe, what they got to do is come up with the money to keep those nations solvent. And the only way they can do that is by the Fed giving them the money. And they've already given them, I figure, about $500 billion here in the last couple of weeks that they're not going to tell you about. And so the next step will be, will they stay in business, these countries? Will they not? And I think that Greece will be the first to go. They're just waiting to. Their election comes up in about a month and a week, supposedly. And if they don't have an election, they'll have riots like you can't believe.
Yeah,
real serious stuff.
I think you're right.
And that means that they'll exit, and Ireland and Portugal will follow. And they're not going to be able to come up with $4 trillion to keep the other two countries going. So it's all downhill. We've had a breakdown with, as you mentioned, with the euro. We're looking at 118 here. It's 129 right now. And it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse. As far as gold's concerned, it'll turn around and go back up again when they get finished selling. And they're obviously selling physical as well as using derivatives to accomplish what they're doing. And it isn't going to work. I mean, of all the people I know, which is thousands, none of them are sellers. In fact, they're in buying. And I expect that to continue.
Everyone you know plus one, because I'm not selling either. But, it's so fascinating because if you look what the Icelandic people did, they just said, screw the banks. We're not going to pay them. We're not going to bail them out. And they didn't. And their economy is definitely improved from where it was. And people, I guess the countries are waking up that they're not going to work to pay off the interest on these loans that should have never been made in the first place. And unfortunately, there's no international bankruptcy court where countries can just file and all their debts go away like our bankruptcy courts in the U.S. Instead, they just have to default and let the chips fall where they may. But Peter Schiff is always saying the best thing that can happen to these countries is to default, because then they won't be able to borrow any more money, and they'll really have to face the facts and pay the piper. And we're getting to that point where they're all going to default, aren't we?
Well, Peter should take that one step further and say the best thing that can happen to the world is the financial system collapses, because the seat of power of the Illuminati is the banking system. And if we can take that away from them, their power is gone. You know, all these dinks that run around at the Bilderberger meeting and trilateralists, and they're going to be history.
Yeah, I know.
The people who think that they're better than everybody else, the masters of the universe. That's a real key.
Yeah,
Peter's right, but he's got to go one step further.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you on that. That the whole system, once they all default, the system's gone anyway. It's interesting. You saw that Corzine said, "Hey, I don't know where the money went. I have no idea. I just ran the place. I don't know what my subordinates were thinking." And they caught him in a lie, because a guy who was the head of the CME testified before the congressional subcommittee that he had an employee who was on the phone and heard Corzine say, "Yes, we used the customer's money to secure these margin calls." And this guy should be in jail. I mean, what is going on in the world when the guy is basically totally nailed, not only for stealing but for perjury before Congress, and everything's okay? He gets a walk.
Well, you're absolutely right, and I'll tell you why. He's a member of the Illuminati, number one. And number two, I think, but I cannot prove, that he was taking orders from the government, and the government was saying, hey, our Goldman Sachs and JPM was saying, look, get over there and buy as much of that debt as you can, and we'll cover you somehow. And the somehow will be he'll get a fine and live happily ever after, and they'll take care of him, put him on this board, that board, or whatever, and he'll continue to live the life of luxury, as they all do, and never go to jail.
Yeah, well, the class actions are coming, though, aren't they?
They sure are. The only thing is they should bring charges against him civilly, separately, in order to access his personal wealth.
Yeah, well, with this type of thing, this is really conversion, I guess, or theft. I don't think obviously there'll be a lot of insurance money in there as well. They're saying now that the average account holder will get back about 2/3 of his money, and I guess he's supposed to be grateful for that, right? Oh, thank you for not stealing it all.
After they finish taking his money, he's got to be worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah, 300 was.
So all of his money should be removed, and it should be given to the committee that is handling the restitution. I mean, this is the first time this has ever happened. And where is the CME? They said they would guarantee every account, and they're not doing it.
Yeah, they should be brought up as well and disbanded. The whole thing stinks to high heaven.
Oh, they're all crooks, and they have been for years.
Yeah, well, that's what's fueling a massive loss of faith in the country, in all institutions, governmental and private. And it's like the only company you could trust anymore is Apple Computer, At least
It's interesting, too, Kerry, that when asked, the public said the most important thing to get fixed was the government. The government's a problem. And that was 70% of the public.
I saw that.
That's a pretty high figure.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? And that they fear the government, that the government's gaining too much power. And, there's a lot of implications for that. I was just talking to James Turk and talking about, in the days, my father, he'd be 86.
Me, guys my age?
Well, he had 10 years on you. He had 10 years on you, but, people believed in something. And even though my father hated the government, there was still some kind of trust that he had for them that I never quite understood, but he trusted them. And now, forget it. Nobody trusts them. Anybody who's getting money from the government doesn't trust them because they figure they're going to cut it off. And anybody who's paying money to the government doesn't trust them because they figure they're just going to take everything that I make. So why the hell should I bother? And this is really bad because, if you believe in anarchy, okay, great. You think that could work. That's fine. But we don't have it. We have no means of transitioning to it. And we got this situation where complete loss of confidence and faith in all institutions of society. That's scary. It really is.
Well, it's revolution.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean, when they pass legislation saying anybody can be called a terrorist, you and I got a serious problem because after the next election, if Ron Paul does not become president and is accompanied by people like him, the American people are screwed.
Yeah.
And people like you and I will have to go into hiding. I'm already in hiding already because they've threatened me enough times.
Yeah.
But people like yourself, they will come and pick you up, and they'll never see you again.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
And that's what's going to happen in America.
I'm really beginning to believe that that's becoming more and more imminent. And I've really, I keep telling people you need a financial survival plan. You need a physical survival plan, which is where do you go when everything hits the fan and how do you live? And you need a family survival plan because your family could be scattered around the country, around the world, and you want to try to get as many of them back together with you as possible. You need to be prepared because it's becoming more and more obvious the way things are heading. But, this decline of gold isn't going to last much longer, and it's as obvious as, as the nose on
your face.
Yeah. And, we just got to try to get through it, right?
Well, I won't be funded until Monday, but I'll be buying with both hands.
Yeah, how could you not?
I do it every month, and I'll tell you something. Dollar cost averaging works. And just keep anybody who can be a buyer, because this thing's going up to 5,000 or 10,000 on gold easy. And they're not going to be able to stop it. And they pull one of their wars, maybe nobody will attend. What are they going to do? Send people around at bayonet point and pick people out of the crowd or at the factory or wherever and say, come with us, and if you don't come, we'll shoot you.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to boil down to, because they're going to have a war and no one's going to attend. Almost all those people who are fighting now are volunteers, and their enlistments are running out, a lot of them. And second of all, in Iraq is a good example at that $1 billion facility that they have there for the United States. And they're all mercenaries.
Yeah, I know.
They're paying $150,000, $200,000 a year for mercenaries who kill people out of hand just for the heck of it.
I know. I know somebody whose husband is there. He's in charge of high-ranking security officer for the diplomats, and he's been cleaning clock for the past 5 years. Anyway, Bob, we got to get going. Tell us international forecaster contact info, please.
The forecast is about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues all over the world, published on Wednesdays and Saturdays by email, about 35 to 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those who are not on the Internet, and everything you need to know each week is in that publication. You can get a free introductory copy by going to theinternationalforecaster.com. The International, caster.com, or to www.intforecaster.com, intforecaster.com. For those of you who would like to ask a question, we answer everyone, or would like a copy of our latest report on gold and silver shares, email us, and that address is Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com, Bob at intforecaster.com. And for those of you who would like to call toll-free, 877-479-8178. That's 877-479-8178. You can get a copy of either. And for those of you who want to become subscribers, they have an offer there, free 1-year subscription. The offer that they're making is terrific. Take advantage of it.
All right, Bob. We'll see you in 2 weeks. If I don't talk to you before then, and I probably won't, have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and keep buying that gold and silver, right?
Yeah, just like you. And thank you very much. And a special thank you for all who listen and all who participate. We really appreciate it very much.
All right, Bob. Till then, take care.
Okay, bye-bye.